Worcester has really been undergoing this great revitalization really over the last 10 years. I'm a Central Mass guy. I drove through Kelley Square just after I got my license. It was rite of passage that everybody had to do if you were in this area. It was infamous. That's why there's bumper stickers for it. But it was also dangerous.
The existing Kelley Square was quite a mess. It was a very confusing intersection, and there was no real definition of where people were supposed to be or how to navigate through the circle. So it was very confusing and led to a lot of accidents.
It lacked signage, lacked direction. People did get in crashes there all the time, had no amenities for bikes or pedestrians. And we had tried a number of times to get a project in that would really correct it. But we could never quite get it off the finish line because there was so much disagreement on what that project should look like and where it needed to go and the timing that it needed to happen. And ultimately, it was when the Red Sox decided that they were going to build a stadium out here for their AAA Woo Sox team that finally got us to a point where we could say, hey, we need to address this now. We needed this to be open in time for the ballpark to have their opening day.
VHB was the primary consultant. We were in charge of developing the conceptual ideas through the public engagement process and then developing those to final design and then being involved with construction oversight during the actual implementation of the plan.
On a project of this size and this magnitude with this much public input, it would have been usually a 5-year process, but we squeezed that all into 11 short months.
What we were concerned about was a 3-month timeline to develop and identify a preferred alternative for Kelley Square when people had been struggling for decades to come up with what the solution was.
The first solution everybody thinks of is to put in traffic signals. When we first started looking at putting in traffic signals, it actually gridlocked the entire area of Worcester. So we knew that traffic signals wouldn't work, so we had to come up with another solution. Because of the configuration of the intersection, we started looking at multiple roundabouts, and we came with 2 circles, and then they just kind of formed together and became the peanut.
Community involvement is something that's important in every single project that we do. We want to make sure that we're building something that the community can be proud of and that they want.
So we started off early, we blanketed the community, we went to farmers markets, we went to community events. So we scheduled a combination of one-on-ones with key players both within City Hall, but also with a lot of the advocacy groups across the city. We had a series of formal and informal public meetings where we talked about the concerns of the community, decided what the issues were and where they wanted to focus, and really let them drive the process and vote on what they thought was the best solution.
Engaging the public early and bringing them in as part of the design process helped us streamline the preferred alternative and then got everybody on board to what we were proposing for the project. Everybody felt like they were part of the team.
We did a very robust data collection program to start. There had been a history of developing and categorizing the crash history at this location. So we had a lot of that data available. We supplemented that with new information as we could. A lot of traffic volume data collection around both pedestrians, bicyclists, and motor vehicles.
We collected data the traditional way, doing traffic counts and getting survey, but then we got into additional things that we don't typically do. We did subsurface utility engineering, so we brought in a consultant to bring in and do all the underground infrastructure for us. We ran test models, we were on top of buildings videoing, we were out here observing constantly.
The challenges that we had here included the fact that as we were getting into the idea of a hybrid roundabout being the preferred alternative, this is the first of its kind in the state. So typically we'd say if you want to know what this is going to look like, you can go to location X or Y and take a look. We really didn't have that flexibility.
We developed a 3D model in CAD to help us figure out the grading and for the overall design of the project. So we were able to present the public with a video that would show them what the intersection would look like once completed.
From a design perspective, this was a very unique design in a very congested, complicated urban area. We didn't want to get into construction and then find out that something wasn't going to work. So we found a parking lot in Worcester that was large enough, and on a Friday night we mocked it up to scale with cones, drums, and pavement markings. The great partners we had on this job, Polar Beverages, brought down one of their largest tractor-trailer vehicles and drove the mock-up to make sure that dimensionally it was going to work for us. The City of Worcester provided us their city bus so that we could test bus movements, and the City of Worcester Fire Department brought their largest apparatus for us to drive through and test to make sure that all of these vehicles were going to be able to traverse the square once it was built. That sort of sealed the conversation that we were heading in the right direction.
Having a consultant that works and forms a partnership with our staff is critical, and we really looked at them like an extension of our staff. VHB became embedded with our staff on a daily basis, regular phone calls throughout the day, really directing the project and making sure that it met all of the goals and the time frames that were set out.
The VHB team worked very closely with MassDOT and the City of Worcester during the design process, and then we worked very closely with J.H. Lynch during construction.
When you see how it looks, how it feels, the level of increased pedestrian and bike activity, the reduction in crashes that have been occurring in the last year because of some of the things we've implemented together with MassDOT, it really is something to look back on and be proud of.
To come to Worcester now, it's a very different atmosphere, it's a different place. There's a lot more life, there's a lot more people walking around, there's a lot more storefronts.
To be able to walk through that space, to be able to drive past that space and know that you and your team helped make it happen, it's a great feeling.